you sick and tired of recent shooter games being a waste of virtual breath? So am I! We're practically best friends. You should, like, subscribe or something. I don't know. In all seriousness though, the FPS genre is facing a crisis right now, and that's something everyone can agree on, even this guy.
I like crayons.
So in this video, I'm going to talk about the recent quality drop in the FPS genre, and you're going to like it. Now, as with most games, the FPS genre has its fair share of problems, but in my opinion, more so than any other. There's one issue with this genre though, that stands out like a clown at a funeral. A problem so big, it makes it impossible for new indie games or even AAA games to succeed. And that's familiarity over novelty. Let me explain. Over the years, FPS games have just ruled the market as the most successful genre. There's something therapeutic about coming home after a long day at work or school and finding new ways to call your teammates useless. My personal favorite is Toe-Eyed Cabbage. Few games would stand out amongst this trend, those being Call of Duty, Overwatch, Siege, and a couple others. Now, you may think that this is a good thing. Wrong! The downfall of FPS games begins with games like COD ruling the market, which brings me to my first point.
When I get flat, it tastes like some big ball with black.
You ever get that feeling of deja vu? Well, that's what it's like to play FPS games now. The top dogs in this genre have realized that they are the kings of this market, and much like a toddler with a lighter, abuses it. Essentially, it's been proven time and time again that no matter how bad they make their games, people will still come back to play them. I mean, Rainbow Six Siege still hasn't fixed its cheater problems. I think everyone can see that FPS games now are just about making as much money as possible, seen mainly through the usage of battle passes. Oh, don't even get me started on battle passes. They are basically the gamer equivalent of paying rent. If you want cool new skins, guns, and in some cases, early access to characters, then you're gonna have to fork out about 5 to 10 quid every month. And if you don't get one, you're just gonna get left behind, like a turd in the wind. Now, Modern Warfare 3 came out only just a year ago, but I still want to cry about it. This was supposed to only be an expansion pack, and it was actually all going according to plan. Until it wasn't. I'm not sure what stupid reason they gave for this, but I think everyone and their nan can probably guess that it was just for money. The issue here is that they keep getting away with this, and new developers are forced to watch in frustration as their new game featuring portals and jetpacks is beaten by Monkey with Throw Attack. Which brings me to my next point.
Oh, riot shield! I'm a pussy that use riot shield!
I'm going to split this segment into two parts. Starting off with indie games. Now, indie games have carried modern gaming in the past, but recently it's become practically impossible for them to succeed. Why is that, I hear you ask? Well, for starters, AAA games have a slightly larger budget than indie games, which obviously makes it easier for them to go all out on shiny graphics and more customization options for the player. I mean, Black Ops 6's settings page looks like something out of a mad scientist's laboratory, where the most settings you'll see in a game like Splitgate is invert look and aim assist. It's not just a bottomless budget, it's also the loyalty. Like a fat man with his fryer, gamers can't seem to separate from what they know. You've already learned all the map recoil patterns and maxed out all the guns, so why would you bother switching? Now, you might be wondering what my comfort zone is. Well, for some reason, I decided to go with Siege.
Fuck!
I know, I don't like it either, but the point I'm trying to make here is that most indie games may have a decent player base at the start. Indie games are never able to maintain that level of relevancy. This also carries on into AAA games as well. Now, new AAA releases have got the budget that indie games lack. But you see here, sports fans, AAA devs couldn't care any less about their game sticking. Long-lasting games? Ew. Big name companies only want one thing. Money. The answer's money. XDefiant is a great example, as Ebenezer Scrooge himself, aka the Ubisoft CEO, decided to make an alternate game to COD. The thing is, the game itself was actually fun for a bit, but when you consider the slight problems along with the marketing for this game, it's pretty clear that they didn't sink much effort into it, like at all. I mean, I'm fairly certain I saw more advertisement for the new League of Legends TV show, which quite frankly, I'm insulted by. Which brings me to my next point.
So trusted you. I thought I could too. So why in bloody hell does Makarov know you?
The Four Tyrants, or TFT for short. This includes Siege, Call of Duty, Valorant, and Overwatch, in my opinion. There are other games like the Battlefield series, but they ain't been doing too good recently. If you've ever been shat on by some trash-talking infant, then you should already know what most of these games are, so I'm not going to bore you with explaining them all. Instead, I'm going to explain how these games take advantage of their player base. As I said before, FPS players can't seem to switch away from the games they know. They'd have more luck trying to quick crack than shipment 24/7. Game developers know this, and boy, do they abuse it. Mostly in the form of just plain laziness. Just take Rainbow Six Siege, for example. Almost a decade in, and there's still cheaters. I get that games will always have cheaters, alright? That's fine. But with Siege, they just seem to not even try to get rid of them. Like, at all. Just look at Mousetrap. 8 years for that to come out, just for people to realize that if they spin like a Beyblade, it renders it completely fucking useless. It's not just console players. PC players can't seem to play a game without getting curb stomped by some wannabe pro using X-Ray, or whatever this unholy creation is. If you want to hear me cry all about Call of Duty's problems, then you're gonna have to watch this video. I know, shameless plug. I don't even want to go into Overwatch's problems, and apparently neither do they. It's actually a skill to make so many of your own players hate you, yet somehow still play your game. Instead of actually solving their problems, Overwatch just changes a character's name and calls it an update. They did my boy McCree dirty. They just straight up nerfed his name to Cassidy. And then there's Valorant. Actually, to be fair to Valorant, they don't have many actual problems that I know about. Apart from the significant amount of people in crippling debt because the cosmetics are so expensive, I can't really think of much. Good job, Valorant. Modern games now are just focused on getting players to spend time and money on their games rather than actually enjoying them. Seen through things like battle passes, ranks, weird collabs, and camo grinds. I get that it's a business and it's what they do. I don't have a problem with that. But it just feels like they don't have the same level of passion as they once did. Call it nostalgia, I don't care. Now, here's the big question. Do I think there's hope for the FPS genre? Big fat spoiler. No. The only way for the genre to grow is if gamers step out of their comfort zone. Which, let's be honest, that ain't gonna happen. Most gamers now are holed up in a cave somewhere injecting Red Bull straight into their veins. Which means that developers are gonna have to do something more creative. But let's be honest, that's not gonna change anytime soon either. I mean, we've gone from tactical shooters with a healthy dose of racism to censored, monetized garbage. However, there is a glimmer of hope. A new game set to release in 2025, and that game is Splitgate 2. It comes as a surprise to no one, but the first Splitgate didn't do too great. But in their defense, the developers had way more players than they expected and plain simply did not have the budget they needed to compensate for it. Now, the concept for Splitgate has to be one of my favorites that I've seen in a while. So hopefully they won't have the same issues this time around, and it'll actually do well. But yeah, that concludes this epic video. Thank you for sticking around, and if you enjoyed listening to my creepy voice, then consider subscribing. Being a small channel means any sort of feedback you can give will go a long way. Maybe a cheeky comment to tell me how I can improve for next time. Also, I realized a lot of my viewers are American, so let's go Mets! It's all about the Mets, baby! Oh yeah!